I'm here with Paul Bridle, resource speaker, international leadership expert. He's just presented to Tech 45, and I'm going to ask a couple of questions of Paul. Paul, the discussion that you had at the end, where the importance of questions and the linkage that you've shown, when did that epiphany take place? How did it take place?
John, it started with me trying to understand. Well, does the leader use their brain differently, and are they thinking differently? So I studied a bit of psychology and so forth. But then I started to identify that one of the things that helps us make our brains more effective is that if we get really good at asking questions. Because when we ask questions, then we expand our mind. When we ask questions, we are opening the doors for possibilities. We open up what's called the screen in our brain, and allows us to find information that previously we would have ignored. Also, by asking the questions of others, we then are drawing them out as well. So the greatest thing about it is we're not only increasing the capacity of our own brain, but we make better uses of other people's brains. So if I ask you a really good question, you go away thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it, we're going to come up with potentially twice as many ideas as if I was just doing it for myself. So the power of questions is quite significant, and once I started to play with it and practice it and use it and try it out and do it with other people, I just was blown away by how powerful it can be.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of a very good presentation, because that's one of the things I've seen in the tech groups. When the questions in a executive session get really strong, then you see it. And Pete Williams, one of the other tech chairs, uses the comment, as metal against metal sharpens metal, people against people. But if it's people's answers against people's answers, it bluntens. Whereas it's the questions that really, really drive it. I was very interested also in your comments about perception, in terms of, how do you see people changing others' perceptions? What is there a behavioural thing that you see in the leaders that's...
Just to work with what you said there, I don't see it's my job to change your perception. In other words, that this is the right perception and all other ones are wrong. Yeah. I don't want it to be perceived as that. What I want is, if I understand that the perception you have is formulating your behaviours ultimately, then if I challenge your perception, or at least get you to challenge your own perception, then you are automatically going to change your behaviors. So if I say to you, if you've got a particular behavior, and I go, well, how do you see that? But then more importantly, if I say to you, how would you need to perceive it to be able to do this? Okay, now I'm opening the doors for you to figure it out for yourself. Yeah. And then the moment you do that, you go, well, I suppose if I saw it this way, then I wouldn't react in that way. Oh, okay, fine. Well, then do you want to give that a go?
So is that the reason why you changed the presentation to link it? Because it links back very nicely, doesn't it?
Yes. The feedback from the group in the first part of the morning was, I just got the feeling that they were looking at for something that they personally could deal with. I got the feeling that the people in the group here wanted, if I can say this respectfully, they were part of the problem.
Yep.
Their own mindset was getting in the way here. So I could give them a whole bunch of stuff, but their mindset wasn't going to shift. So I needed to take a slight turn away from what I was going to present and go into more depth on this side and say, well, let's just park that. Let's now look at this. By doing that, then they are now in a position to understand a whole lot better what we were talking about. And I think that'll help.
So it was a risky strategy.
Yes and no. I suppose I'm just fortunate. I pick up on what's needed. I've been doing this quite a while now, John. So you get a feel for the group, and you get a feel, and you go, do you know something? This will work, but I can do it so much better if I do this.
Yeah.
And so I just had an instinct that it was the right thing to do. It doesn't always, but 9 times out of 10 it does.
I was delighted with you doing it, because what it did. By changing tack, you really did make people think differently.
Yeah.
If you just kept on presenting in that regular fashion, then it's the same old.
Yeah.
And I again, that change up really, I felt the energy in the room changed.
Yes. Yeah.
So you made the comment, actually, it was a bit warm. I actually felt people were really working hard.
Yeah.
was my
Yes,
sense of it.
yes. There was a moment in there where you could see that everybody was on their own in the room because they were so far inside themselves, dealing with what they'd just heard, that it was like they were in their own place, and that's great. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
My
Paul.
pleasure.
It's been terrific having you again.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks,
Okay,
John.
thank you.